Om Namo Narayana. Welcome back. Today we are reading chapters 32 and 33 in Book 3 of the Ramayana. Chapter 32 is called Soorpanakha meets Ravana. Then Soorpanakha saw that 14,000 Rakshasas had been killed by a great act single-handedly by Rama, as well as seeing the killing of Dushana. Kala and Terceras again started making a great sound like a cloud. Seeing the acts of Rama, which was difficult for others to do, as they got very scared, Soorpanakha started to go to Lanka ruled by Ravana. She saw Ravana sitting on the top of the aerial throne with ministers, and shining brightly like Indra sitting with Marus and his ministers. Ravana was seated on a divine golden seat which was shining like the sun and blazing like fire that glows when abundant ghee is poured into it, and it was built on an altar of golden bricks. That valorous Ravana, who cannot be defeated in war by devas, gandharvas, sages, and other great souls, was sitting like the god of death, sitting with open jaws. He had wounds created by the Vajrahuda during the great war between the Devas and Asuras, and marks on the chest created by the tips of tusks of Iravatha elephant. With his 10 necks and 20 hands, dressed fabulously, and with his broad chest, he was shining like a king. He was shining like the cat's eye gem, wearing golden globes made of pure gold, and he had well-formed arms, white teeth, and a wide mouth, and was comparable to a mountain. In the hundreds of wars with the Devas, he had been hurt by the wheel of Vishnu, and he also had been hit by other great weapons. Though he was hit by Devas, none of his limbs had been hurt, and he was still very quick in his actions. He was the one who could throw mountains, had tormented Devas, destroyed the base of Dharma, and had cast an evil eye on the wife of other persons. He was knowledgeable in the use of all divine weapons. He always prevented yagnas, reached the city of Bhogavati, and defeated the serpent Vasuki, and abducted the dear wife of Takshaka after defeating him. That Ravana went to Kailasa mountain, defeated Kubera, and took away forcibly the Pushpaka Vimana, in which one can fly as he likes. Due to the great anger, he had destroyed the Chairata garden, as well as the lotus pond of Kubera, the Nandanavana of Indra, and several such gardens. He was the scorcher of enemies, and appeared like the peak of a mountain, and could stop the powerful sun and moon from rising with only his great arms. He had done great penance in a great forest for 10,000 years, and offered his own heads to the self-born Shiva. He was not afraid of devas, asuras, gandharvas, ghosts, birds, or serpents when in war with them. When the Brahmins consecrated auspicious yagnas, he made them impure, and the places were no longer suitable for yagnas, and they stopped the flowing of soma juice. He disrupted yagnas when they were at the peak. He was a cruel killer of Brahmins. He was with bad character all around. He was harsh and merciless against people, and he acted against their welfare. That Rakshasi saw her valorous brother Ravana, who was very powerful and who was feared by all beings. He was attired greatly, wearing divine clothes and ornaments, was shining, wearing divine garlands, was sitting on his seat like the sun, and was sitting on a raised throne like the god of death himself. After reaching that Rakshasi, greatly affected by fear, she spoke to the king of the Rakshasas, who was strong, who was a child of the Palasya clan, and who was the killer of enemies, and who was surrounded by his ministers. That broad-eyed, fearless warrior, Soorpanakha, who was disfigured by a great man, addressed him, exhibiting herself with fear, and spoke. Thus ends chapter 32. Chapter 33 is called Soorpanakha's Complaint to Ravana. The distressed and anguished Soorpanakha spoke to Ravana, who tortures the world, who was sitting in the middle of his ministers. Being intoxicated, always trying to get pleasure out of passion, always acting with impulse and lacking self-control, you are not able to understand the cruel fear that has arisen. Being a vulgar king, addicted to pleasures, acting only according to his own wishes and greed, you would not be liked by people like the fire in the cremation ground. That king who does not attend to his work at the proper time would be destroyed along with his kingdom and his works. The king difficult to meet and who does not have self-control and who does not employ spies is kept away by people like a muddy river. Those undisciplined kings, without self-control and having no influence over their country, or who do not protect it, do not prosper or shine like a mountain in the middle of the water. You are not clear-headed with devas, Gandhavaras, and saints, and become inimical with them, and have not employed any spies, and are fickle-minded. And how can you become an able king? Oh, Rakshasa, you are childish and lack brain, and do not know that you do not know, and how can you become an able king? Oh, best among those who achieve victory, the spies, treasury, and state policy is not under your control, and so you are not like a king, but a commoner. Since the king would be able to see all the issues from a distance using spies, these kings are called far-sighted. Your system of spying is primitive, and the ministers surrounding you right now are fools. And that is why you do not know about the killing of your own people in Janasthana. 14,000 cruel Rakshasas were killed by Rama along with Kara as well as Dushana. Rama, who can perform acts with ease, has given protection to all sages and made Dadanka safe for them after attacking Janasthana and capturing it. Oh, Ravana, you are greedy, intoxicated, and in control of others, and so not aware of the fear that has arisen in your own kingdom. All beings who are in trouble do not run for protection from a king who is not sharp, not generous, intoxicated, proud, and adamant. A king who is arrogant, one who cannot be approached, one who is proud of himself, and one who is short-tempered is put to an end by his own people when they are in difficulties. A king who does not do deeds which should be done, fears those whom he should not fear, and he would be surely toppled down and would be desperate and worthless like a blade of grass. Even dried-up wood, clods of earth, or even dust would be of value sometimes, but not a king thrown out by the people. Like a cloth worn and discarded, or garlands worn and later crushed, a king who has been thrown out would be useless even if he is able to do things. An alert king who knows everything, who has good control over his senses, who is grateful and is a follower of Dharma, would continue to be a king for a long time. A king who is awake even while sleeping to morals, who has sacrificed his anger, and who is attentive, would be worshipped by the people. Oh, Ravana, you being evil-minded and devoid of all good qualities are not able to know the killing of your own people from your spies. A king who finds faults with others, who is addicted to pleasures, who lacks capacity to judge the time and place, and who lacks a sense of discrimination, and does not have right wisdom, will soon destroy himself as well as his kingdom. That Ravana, who is the god of the Rakshasas, who is wealthy, arrogant, and strong, hearing her tell his mistakes, by his own intelligence understood them and started thinking them over. Thus ends chapter 33.